My name is Holly. This is my daily HAEDs on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you for visiting today. We'll be talking about my cross-stitched and at the end I will show you a slideshow of a few pictures of our travels since our last posted last week. We didn't have as much exploring as we did last week at Gretna Green, traveling over to Gretna Green. That was a behemoth of a day. We were out for like 10 hours. A trip that should only take 2.25 hours took us 4 to get there because I was constantly asking my husband to stop, or he would say, "Oh, this is really nice, so you have to take a picture of this." So our travels were very intermittent because we were enjoying the view so much and taking photos and seeing so many lovely things. Anyway, going back to the cross stitch, my first project that I will be talking to you about is the QS Falling Snow by Alan Giana, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It is on 25 count, done 1/1, and it's currently at 22.60%. What I'll do is I will show you a picture of what it will look like when it is done. And this is what it looks like now. This is the only one I'm using the Qsnap on. 25 count this is the first time I ever stitched on 25 count lugana. I'm working my way down the diagonal. I keep thinking to myself, oh, I don't have much further to go, and then I'll be at the corner there. But the diagonals are quite long, so I can't see myself getting to that corner anytime soon. And I'm tempted to be cheeky and race over to the corner just so I can say that I've reached 3 corners. But I think I'll be good and just continue in the diagonal. I am enjoying the diagonal. What I've decided to start doing now is whenever I'm in a block that's mostly like 2, sometimes you have just a block with just 2 or 3 colors in it, and try to get as many stitches done on those so that when I do hit areas with more color changes like the tree trunks and these trees, I can get a lot more, I can just concentrate on getting the 100 stitches a day. Yeah, I try for over 100 stitches a day, which will mean that I get at least 1 block done. And in areas where I've done lots of extra stitching in the next block down, I can sometimes get 2 blocks done. I really enjoy that. Next, we'll be doing Mini Mountain Landscape, which is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It is, I think it's a stock photo. It's a couple of other companies have done it as well that I found out. It's done on 18 count, 2/1. I prefer the look of 2/1 on 18 count because I like the coverage. Yes, it can be stiff, especially in confetti areas. It can be a bit tricky to get through, but I prefer the deeper coverage, especially on the darker colors. I prefer not to see any of the fabric behind it. Maybe when I go down to the 20 count, which I will in future projects, I can do 1/1 because I am enjoying the coverage of 1/1 on 25 count. So we'll see if I can skip down to 1/1. But this is Mini Mountain Landscape, and I will show you a photo of it when it will look like when it's done. And this is what it is looking. It's almost to a column finish. And the funny thing about this pattern is that you have areas of where you can just zoom through because it's just a few color changes, or the way the color changes are, you can get quite a few stitches in on one color and just kind of zip down the column and get lots of them done. Other times you are literally changing threads every stitch, every 2-3 stitches. So it's a mixed bag, but it's good because it's you're not constantly doing confetti, and you're not constantly doing blocks of color, which is fun if you want to get the if you want really racing to get stitches in, but it's also can be a bit tedious if you're just trying to, you don't want to be doing the same color. I know that when I did mini bird song, the 747 sometimes seemed endless, especially when I started on the left hand corner working my way down. That area is significantly 747, and it was a beautiful color, one of the colors I really super love, but it's such a long pattern, and you were just doing blocks and blocks and blocks of mostly 747. And I'll show that to you one day. And it's a beautiful pattern. I wish I had done it on a smaller count. I wish I'd done it, it's on a 14 count. I wish I had done it on a 18 count or 20 count. And maybe one day, if I'm insane, I will go back and redo it. But anyway, it's Nina Hobby Site is doing that pattern as well, and Stitchy Mommy is doing it. So it is a beautiful, beautiful pattern. A lot of my patterns seem to have birds in them. I guess I like birds, eh? Anyway, let's go back to the stitching here. Our next project that I'm going to show you is my focus piece. It is Mini Birds and Blooms by Aimee Stewart, Heaven and Earth Designs, 2/1 18 count, Aida, and I reached 50% on it now. I will pop in a photo here of what it will look like when it's finished. There. And this is what it looks like now. 50.51%. There was 4 days this past week that I was concentrating on it, either for the lack of time. Last Monday and Tuesday I concentrated. I didn't have that much time because we were out of the house, and I just focused on this for those days. And then Saturday and Sunday I just got a bug of where I wanted to concentrate on it as much as possible. And you can see the robin is all finished in his pompous, arrogant pose, and he came out really well. And I've got another bird coming in. I don't know the names of all the birds. They are so lovely. It's super fun. Lots of love. Love, love, love. And it's well worth it. If it's something that you've been thinking about, it's a pattern that it's well worth your time to spend time stitching this. The colors are fantastic. Elisa at Crafting in Colorado is doing it, and hers is almost done. It's like 90-something%, and it's absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful pattern. What can I say? More than that. And finally, I want to talk to you. I got a new start. I started Mini Evening Heaven and Earth Designs by Leonid Afremov. I'm doing it again on 18 count, 2/1. I did try 1/1, and because there's so many dark colors, I just wasn't happy with the coverage. Anyway, this is Mini Evening and I will show you a picture of what it will look like when it's done. And this is how far. Oh goodness. I got it all twisted, and this is what it looks like now. The stitching is lots of colors. They're beautiful colors, and it's so far I've only run into a tiny little place that had lots of color changes, but most of it so far I don't want to jinx myself. And I've only stitched on it I think twice since I started it. I started it with Angie Slowly Crafts, and there's so many other people doing Leonid Afremov, but anyway, Angie conceived a hashtag on Instagram, colors of Afremov, but it's colors with a U, so COLOURSOFAFREMOV, Afremov. So we've been using that when we're posting, and we're trying to remember to use that when we post. But it is such a, this piece particularly is so vibrant, and I do like the watercolor kind of effect that he has there. And we went to a boot fair yesterday. The boot fair, for the people who don't know, and I didn't know, when I first came to this country and somebody said, oh, they have a boot fair on the green at such and such time, and they call their parks green sometimes. So first and foremost, a boot sale is basically people gather things like they would have in a garage sale. They gather them up and put them in their car, and then they drive to a field or a park somewhere, and they will all just open up what they call the trunk a boot here. They call it a boot. That's what another thing it's confused me. I'm like, boot sale? Why would you talk about walking boots or hiking boots? No, a boot is the trunk of a car, and they just drive their vehicles park them up in aisles, not tables, and you can just walk around. So it's like a garage sale, but they're all together, and you can just zip around it quite quickly. We went to one in, oh goodness, Foulden in Scotland yesterday. Foulden, Foulden, and it's a lovely little village. But anyway, we went there yesterday, and I will show you one picture of it, because I just took a quick one to kind of give you the feel of it. I guess it's my husband said it's kind of like a swap meet. I would say like a flea market kind of feel, but it's each stall is an individual person or group of people. So, but this was a stamped kit from DIY Cross Stitch. I started it last spring. I think it was March. I started it, and my intention was to get it finished for our anniversary, which was last month. I got it finished before Father's Day, so I gave it to him for Father's Day instead. Yeah, it stitched up really quickly. As with a lot of these these stamped kits, they weren't very careful about not placing the same symbol next to each other. I was thinking that because it didn't have that many colors, and it was, you would think that they wouldn't put, the same, very close symbols right next to each other, but they did. So I spent a lot of time looking at it really close and trying to decipher what it was, but they did. But I got through it, and it's the same thing with, I've got another stamped kit that I've been putting a few stitches in here or there in the back garden. They call it back garden. It's backyard in the summer when it was lovely and sunny and warm. And I know it's still just technically summer, but for the last 2 or 3 weeks we've been in. We've actually gotten down to the single digits some nights in the last few weeks in Celsius, which has been in the 40s Fahrenheit, and our highs have been in the teens Celsius, which are like in the 60s, and even one day I think we only got up to 58 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't remember what that is to Celsius. I just remember looking at because I swap between the Celsius and the Fahrenheit, because when I'm telling my husband the temperature, because he'll ask when he wakes up in the morning, he knows what to wear to work. And he'll say, oh, what's the temperature going to be today? And I remember looking at it in Fahrenheit going, 58 degrees, flipping heck. It's August. But anyway, so it's been a cool, except for a few days, it's been a pretty cool August. At least nothing on the patch of growing up in the South in America. And in the 90s, a cool day was hitting 89 Fahrenheit. Which I don't even know what that would be in Celsius. And it's just one of those things. The temperature, my husband and I saw our first flock of geese. When we moved up here last year, there were so many flocks of geese flying over because we're in the North Sea, you know, right on the North Sea, and you have geese flying in from the continent. And there was just like flocks and flocks, and sometimes it would be just like dozens and sometimes hundreds of geese. And I was so excited. I saw a few of them down in Essex, but not that many. But now that we've moved up to Northumberland, we seem to be on a flight path. So I hear the ducks going over and I run to the window and I look out and watch over. But we're also close to an RAF base, which is a Royal Air Force base. And so sometimes I get, I can hear their planes going over, the fighter jets and the cargo cargo planes and stuff. And I enjoy that as well. Now, it depends on the wind, I guess, because they're not always flying over our house or our flat. But those are the two things I run to the windows to look at the flock of ducks going across and watching all the military aircraft going around. I know I'm a little kid at heart, I guess. I really enjoy that. But anyway, my husband and I were going to the beach a few weeks ago in the evening time, and a flock of quite a large flock of geese had just landed. Were landing in this field beside, and so they were traveling south, and we were like, so early, because it was before our anniversary, so it was early August, and this was but there's a lot of people. You're driving around, you're walking around. I've been walking in the mornings, most mornings, and as I'm walking around, you can smell wood smoke. People are already burning their fires first thing in the morning to kind of warm up their house. And it smells glorious. I do love a wood smoke. And also, sometimes when we go to the local beach in the evening times, people will have a little fire on the beach, and a group of people, and it's lovely to see. And I would love to. I don't know anyone who would be interested in doing that, but I would love to do that. But there are groups of people that go onto the beach, and they'll just start up a little wood fire, and they'll kind of be huddled in their coats, or depending on how warm it is. Sometimes you're just relaxing on the beach, having a gentle chat, listening to the waves. Sometimes they'll have children with them, and the children will be running around playing in the sand, not getting too far. Sometimes they'll have the dogs with them, and it seems like such a wonderful, it must be a wonderful experience. It's wonderful for me to actually watch these people do these things, but it's just the pleasures of life, isn't it? It's so much fun. So anyway, I will let you go. I'll be having a slideshow afterwards of a few of our travels. Oh, I wanted to say a couple of thank yous. Tara at One Stitch at a Time, with her lovely young ladies, daughters, Bailey and Stormy. Anyway, Tara gave me a shout out. I was like, oh my gosh, for the first time. And it was so exciting. She was saying about my accent being so odd, because it's a mishmash of American and English accent. And it's funny because Americans say my accent is very English, and English or British people say my accent is very American. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But it's kind of funny because no matter who's listening, obviously, if my accent's quite odd, and that's just the way it is. I know that when my son started elementary school, primary school, everybody thought he was an American, that he was American child, because he had such a thick American accent. And everybody said, oh, when did you move over here? And he's like, I've always lived here. Because I was a housewife, and I've been a housewife most of our marriage, and I'm a very happy housewife. It's a wonderful experience. And when my son started primary school, it was just so funny because and as he was growing up, sometimes he would say to, he'd say to his dad, a bath, because my husband says bath, but I would say bath. Or my son learned how to say things in two different accents or two different pronunciations depending on who he was talking to. Thank you very much for watching this. I am wishing you a wonderful week with lots of lovely times and stitching. I would love it if you would subscribe. I always enjoy the comments. I love interacting with people, and I genuinely am very interested in what you have to say. And thank you for sharing this journey with me. Now, wishing you a lovely day. Thank you.